What's up, guys? It's Ben with 2020 election predictions, and today I'm going to do a video just focusing on the state of Florida, which in 2020 I think will be the most important state. So the votes in all of the 49 other states they matter. I think in the kind of six swing states that I think will determine the election, I think they will matter more. However, I think in the state of Florida they will matter the most. In 2016, Donald Trump won Florida by 1.2 percentage points, which was just a little bit over 100,000 votes. And I think that only two presidents in the past 100 years have ever won the election without carrying Florida. So I think we can say that Florida is essential if Donald Trump wants to win again in 2020. Florida is always close. I mean, even when Barack Obama kind of won his landslide victory in 2008, Florida was still kind of within 2 percentage points. So in 2016, Florida was very hotly contested. We can see that, which is not very surprising, that Hillary Clinton kind of won the urban areas, Miami, Tallahassee, Orlando, and Tampa. But Donald Trump won in those kind of more of the rural areas, kind of the Panhandle, which we kind of consider southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, which obviously are going to vote Republican. And one thing that's kind of overlooked is Marco Rubio in 2016 won by a lot larger margin. Marco Rubio had originally said that he wasn't going to run for the Senate because he was running for president, but when he lost, he decided he wanted to keep his seat. So Marco Rubio won the seat by 8 points. So I think Marco Rubio on the ballot definitely helped Trump. Marco Rubio is not on the ballot in 2020. Neither are the Senate candidates. Rick Scott, he beat Bill Nelson in 2018. I will talk about that in the future too, because all of these things are relevant to how Florida will vote in 2016. I don't want to spoil my video too much, but Donald Trump is in a lot worse position in the state of Florida than he was in 2016. So I think this should be worrying for the Trump campaign, but they still have a lot of time to make this up. We have about, I think, 65 days until the election, maybe 66 or 67, but let's kind of move in and kind of look at some of the more historical results. So Donald Trump won by 1.2 percentage points in 2016. I think that Joe Biden is a stronger candidate than Hillary Clinton. So I think that's definitely a plus for the Democrats. And also, I don't think there will be as large of a third-party vote. In 2016, it was 2.2%. I do not think Joe Jorgensen, who is the Libertarian candidate, will be able to have as much of an impact, especially in a state like Florida. In the 2018 midterm elections, this was a Democratic wave year. The polls had the Democrats up across the board. However, the Republicans very narrowly won in the Senate. Bill Nelson was the incumbent, so Rick Scott, who's the former governor of Florida, beat Bill Nelson in the Senate race. And Ron DeSantis, this surprised a lot of people. Andrew Gillum was up by 3-4 points in the polls, but the polls were wrong, and Ron DeSantis did win this race. So we did see some seats on the congressional level, some Democrats win, but as a whole, Florida was kind of the outlier of the blue wave or blue tsunami that really did happen in 2018. I mean, the Democrats won back the House by a pretty astounding margin, plus 40 seats. And so this definitely was a surprise. So right after the midterm elections, I was pretty certain that the Republicans, that Donald Trump would be able to keep Florida in 2020. And let me tell you why this is very important. So if Donald Trump loses Florida, he really has no path to win, because if Donald Trump loses Florida, I think Michigan is to the left of Florida. I think he's going to lose Michigan as well. So Donald Trump could even win Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, which I think will be less likely if he loses Florida. And we can see that even in this scenario that Joe Biden wins. So any path to a Donald Trump victory would have to come through Florida. So that's kind of just looking at the Electoral College. I think it is very important. And just to take a quick pause in the video, I know I ask you this a lot. I hate to do it, but please subscribe. You can hit the button right here. It's just the big red subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you've already subscribed, and you haven't hit the bell notifications, please do that just so you can be the first to join the channel. Okay, so right, what I want to focus on right now are the polls. So right now in the 538 average of the polls, Biden is up by almost 6 points. And this wasn't the case kind of earlier in the year before the coronavirus really hit Florida. I mean, I think it's for a lot of reasons. I think especially in Florida when you have a high elderly population, I think Trump's response to the coronavirus has hurt him a lot in the polls. And we will see if this will continue until the election. But we can see in March and April, Biden and Trump were neck and neck. I think at a time Trump might have even been ahead for a second. But I mean, right here in these margins, if you're the Trump campaign, you are saying this is fine. This is right where we were with Hillary Clinton. And like within 1 or 2 points, like this is fine. This is fine. It starts getting more worrisome when we kind of get into June and mainly in July when we see Biden has a 7.5 point lead. I mean, this should be very worrisome from the Trump campaign. And kind of delving into the details, we see that Trump is hemorrhaging support among senior voters. In the state of Florida, in every age group above 40%, Trump beat Hillary Clinton, and even in the 25 to 29 age group, which is actually very interesting. That definitely surprises me a lot. But we can see, especially in the 65% or older, and the 50 to 64%, that Trump won by double-digit margins, and these are the largest voting groups. 50 and above accounted for 50% of the voting groups in the state of Florida. Because I mean, it's a stereotype that Florida has a lot of elderly people, but it's true. And elderly people vote at higher rates than any other age demographic. So I think this is very interesting because I think that older voters tend to be more conservative and tend to lean Republican. But we can see coming into 2020, this is not the case. Biden leads Trump in every gender and age demographic in Florida, except with voters over 70. And he's losing support in kind of the elderly voters. He's still winning voters over 70, but we can see that he won the voters over 65 by 17 points. So this is not an accomplishment for the Trump campaign, and it should be very worrisome. Going into the polls going into 2016. So the polls in 2016 in Florida were not as bad as 2018. In 2018, they were wrong by about 3 or 4 percentage points. So even if we account for that bias, we still see that Biden is up. So this is not good for Trump. Very good for Biden. But we can see that in 2016, the presidential polls were pretty accurate. There was a time when Trump was down by about 5 points. This is, I think, kind of near when the Access Hollywood came, and we can see that they narrowed up. We can see when kind of the November surprise Comey investigation, we can see Hillary Clinton's support dropped, but then kind of come back up. And these polls are not going to respond like very closely, but and we can see that in like 2012, Obama, it was very, very close both years. So I think it's going to be very, very close. Right now, if I had to predict, I would have Biden winning the state by about 2 points, I would say. I think it is going to narrow up from the 6-point margin that we see right now. But, I mean, if we look at the polls right here, I think we'll have them. We see that Biden is up by like an average of 5 points, which kind of mirrors the 538 average. And one data point that I thought was pretty interesting is that if Bernie Sanders were the nominee, I think Trump would have no trouble winning this state. But I think that a lot of older voters see Biden as not as a radical choice, especially with a lot of the Cuban immigrants in Florida. They are very kind of scared of socialism and communism. However, I think they don't see like a socialist takeover in a Biden presidency. So I think Trump is going to try hard to paint Joe Biden as a radical in a state like Florida. Will it work? We will see. But I think the Trump campaign has a lot of work to do in Florida. And until the polls change, and they might not, then I'm going to predict a Biden victory on the presidential level because I really think Florida will be the most important state. I think it will be the tipping point state. So unless there's data that shows that Trump is coming back in Florida, I think that Joe Biden is going to win the state and therefore win the presidency. I really hope that y'all like this video, and I'm going to be doing more states coming up like Arizona, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Minnesota, all the big states that will matter in 2020. So give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share this video with all your friends and family. Thanks.